I guess you've done a lot of work for hire vocals as well. Do you have like overall thoughts, tips, processes, breakthroughs about basically like presenting the voice in a recording, layering it up in ways that are interesting?
Totally. I think that vocal arrangement is like the most exciting thing to me ever. And that's really, I think that was actually my bridge into being like, you should do more than just the vocal production because you have the ear for all of these different parts. Like, why can't that be synth layers? Why can't, drum, different percussion types of things? And I think like if I'm like looking at a chorus of a song, maybe it's not even one of my songs, maybe it's just like I'm being hired to sing on this thing and they want me to do all the background vocal arrangement too. Typically I'll do like a lead vocal, I'll do a left and right stack, and so that'll be a double and a triple, and pan wide or pan really as wide as I want in that specific moment. I also play with the stereo field a lot and changing that throughout the song in sections. I'll do harmony layers, and usually each layer is doubled, and also a pan, like, left and right in some capacity of width. But yeah, I think like in general, choruses are sort of, I like to evolve them through the song. So the first chorus is going to be less full than the second chorus, and then the third chorus. Same thing with verses. I think I always like to like start verse 1 and verse 2 pretty similarly, so the ear can be like, oh yeah, I remember this vibe, this melody. And then the second half of the verse really build out more harmonies, more rhythmic changes, more melodic changes. And I think like the bridge, I love a good bridge. Just go anywhere. I mean, as you can tell in this song, like went to a different key. And yeah, so I think that overall arrangement of songs, there's so many different ways to sort of like find your specific ism with how you do your vocals.
Amazing. And I love it. I mean this is a very, very sincere compliment, but it was interesting seeing how, on one hand, how intricate your multi-track was, and on the other hand, like actually kind of how simple it was, because you weren't over-layering a gajillion in one instrument. But, exactly what you're describing about the way your vocal arrangement could carry so much and so much dynamics. But then I really love, just the way you had your synth guitar harps like merged so perfectly, but each of those sound like you had really like fascinating processing going on those, which almost created like another layer of texture within the sounds. So it's kind of fascinating how you're able to almost like use one source and almost generate what would be the equivalent of a few layers out of it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the way you kind of achieved depth and everything was deeply impressive, I have
Thank
to
you.
say as well.
That means a lot.
Oh, bless. Well, I mean, it's you're killing it, I think, is all we can say. Do you mind if we get into like some super specific nerdy stuff about like how you made this particular track? Okay, so there we go. Josh has just said that Prophet Patch is crunchy and amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I've had a terrible time personally of ever like it's probably a big weakness is like I'm bad at processing synths. And I just again love the way that you had like the kind of different senses of depth and width and different textures within one sound on that one. So do you think you can maybe like let us know with that one like what your process was, or
I think a lot of it had to do, a lot of it was like on the synth itself. Like I definitely had different I'm trying to remember because I played this one live and I have it all. Yeah, so like I have throughout the song, there's like, the filter is like a lot more smooth and mellow in chorus 1. And then as chorus 2 progresses, the filter on just like that main synth opens up more. So it's crunchier. And then there becomes an octave higher. So it's like, I think, especially with that synth sound, the more fizzy I could make that top octave sound. And then also had it doubled on harp and on guitar in strange, modulated sounds themselves. I think that was definitely a process. I mean, I do a lot, like EQing wise, I feel like I always have to cut out so many lows in my synths because it's just so much information in a Prophet Patch, really, that doesn't necessarily need to be taking up all the space. That the bridge Prophet is very bendy, and so that is like, modulating the pitch with an LFO to also having some glide on, obviously, so it's like more portamento. I think a lot of it really just comes down to finding a synth sound, like creating a synth sound that I think is really cool, and then evolving it through the song, recording a couple different versions of it. Like I probably did some in the box filtering to make it rounder instead of like recording it only that way, because I would have more control to, you know, open up the filter by way of EQ throughout the song later. And then I also, I just love playing with the pitch wheel. So performances, like, it's just so fun to me. So
cool.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my synth. I think like layering synths, really. It's just like, especially in the last chorus of songs in this EP a lot, there are just like new layers that come in that make it more of a party that you haven't heard before. And that's really exciting to me. Is like, all right, what is my final chorus arp going to be? Like, let's go find it.
Right.
So yeah, I think a lot of it is having to do with just having a cool sound to start out with, and then building upon that for the arrangement, instead of layering a bunch of like okay sounds to get what you want. Like start with something really good, and I think that's like what some of the best producers do. Is like no sounds on their productions are less than cool. You know, they're very specifically chosen because they are cool on their own. So they don't need a bunch of other layers to be helping them when there's like a solid sound to start with.
That's very cool.